Good evening, everyone. Thank you for tuning back in to FCM Live. In the spotlight with me, Abel Pagaling. And man, so far I've been having a great time with all my guests, and I hope that you've been learning a lot of insights, ideas, and things that you can use in your life in our segment. FCM really, it's a multicultural media, and all we want to do is bring communities together and create a bridge between cultures so we can have a good community. So with me tonight, I have one of the well-known immigration consultant company here in Canada, Join Canada Immigration, and these ladies are so inspirational to me. So it's an honor for me to interview them. I'd like to welcome Ning Becada and Roxanne Jessome. Welcome. Now Ning is with me here in person. Becada, the last name gives it up. But Roxanne, she's calling in from Vancouver, but Roxanne, are you still there?
I'm here.
All right, she can hear us, and so I'll be asking them both questions throughout this interview. So, Tining,
yes.
Welcome to FCM Live.
Thank you for having us.
And but before I start asking questions, I just want to say thank you to Relentless Transformation for letting us use their place, this amazing gym, as our studio tonight. So, Tining, going back to you, talk to us a little bit about Join Canada Immigration, and maybe introduce the company to us, how we got started, and or before I ask that, maybe tell us a little bit, Roxanne. I'll ask that to you, Roxanne. Tell us a little bit about Join Canada, how we got started, and where it's at now.
Well, Join Canada was started in 2009. That's when I became a regulated Canadian immigration consultant after graduating from the University of British Columbia. And it was just a one-woman show for several years. And initially, the services that we offered focused mainly on family clubs, spousal sponsorships, common law sponsorships, and some economic programs. But as our reputation grew, as our business grew, we added more and more people to the team, and so we're still going after 10 years. Thousands of families that we've helped immigrate to Canada, and yeah, it's been great.
That's awesome. And so Tining, I'll go back to you. Tell us a little bit about your immigration consultant history, how you got started, and where things are at.
All right. Yeah, I became an immigration consultant around 7-8 years ago now. I had to, it was a start of a change of career for me. I came to Canada about 20 years ago, challenged the exam for medical technologist. I did practice as a lab tech for 16 years, but then I changed career because I really wanted to help people, and there was my experience with temporary foreign workers, where we housed temporary foreign workers because they were victims of agents who
there's a lot of abuse.
There's a lot of so we housed them, and they stayed at our house, and I said, there must be something that can be done with these people, not only to help them come to Canada, and also really help them properly. So that's when I did a research, and I found the course for immigration consulting, and that's when I decided I want to take that, and I got licensed in 2012 or 2000,
here in
Canada.
2011. I know.
2011.
Thank you, Roxanne. And that's here in Calgary, right?
Yes, it's here in Calgary. So I got my license then and practiced because I like to help people, and helping them and help them properly.
That's great, because I think we need good immigration consultants. And Roxanne, I want to ask you this question now. Tell us a little about your client niche in the last, say, 10 years. Which part of the world have you been catering?
A lot of the world, to be honest. Echoing part of what Ning said, I was a recruiter for a decade.
Okay.
Prior to becoming an immigration consultant. And it was actually my employer clients that talked me into getting into immigration. So I worked in a niche industry as a recruiter, and during the economic boom, especially in Alberta, being honest, ethical recruiter. And so then my employers, large national and international employers, because of trust issues, wanted me to recruit for them. And then I kind of, by osmosis, I worked with an immigration lawyer to do the immigration piece. And I learned a lot by osmosis. And I, like Ning, saw a lot of what was happening and people getting taken advantage of. And, of course, that's against my ethics. And so I decided I wanted to jump into the fray. So initially, I worked with a lot of temporary foreign workers. From the recruitment stage, which we do not do anymore, I need to point that out, working with employers to get permission to hire foreign nationals, and then applications for work permits and subsequent applications for permanent residence in provincial nominee programs, federal economic programs. So our clients, initially I worked a lot with clients from Morocco, clients from the Philippines, and then it's just kind of grown. We work a lot in the Irish community. We still work a lot in the Filipino community, and the British community, Australian, New Zealand, but we're not limited. We've had clients from almost every country.
Yeah.
That's awesome, and that's always good to hear, to have a immigration company that not just caters to one community but caters to every community. Tining, I'll ask you this question. You've seen the influx of Filipino immigrants in Canada, specifically in Alberta. I think we're the second biggest ethnic group now. Has anything in particular changed in the way Filipinos come to Canada?
No, not really. There's no stopping Filipinos from coming to Canada. Actually,
There's no stopping Filipinos.
right? We were just looking at the statistics.
They must like the weather. I don't know.
We are. You know what they say? Filipinos can go in any country, and we can easily adapt. We can easily adapt weather.
That's right.
There's no problem with the weather. There's no problem with culture. We can easily adapt. And Roxanne and I were looking at statistics just this afternoon, and Filipinos as actually the number one source of immigrants from last year.
Here in Canada.
In Canada,
Wow.
like all of Canada, it's not just Alberta, okay? But all in Canada, Filipinos is always on the top 3. You can India and China too. But last year it was Filipinos, immigrants from the Philippines was the top. Was on the top list.
And I don't know if this thing, or Roxanne, maybe you know the answer. Is that because the people that have come here before are bringing their families now, or is this a new influx of immigrants looking for work or looking to settle in Canada?
I think that it's always been Filipinos tend to be very well educated, and they tend to have excellent language skills, which education and language, are key markers to success when you're going to settle in a new country. I'm from Canada. I'm born here. I've never lived in another country. I've visited many, but I've never lived anywhere else. Why would I? I live in a great country. And there's a bravery amongst Filipinos. There's a fearlessness that I don't know that I have myself. So I stand back for my clients with some admiration, because I think, wow, you just uprooted your whole life and are going to start all over in a brand new country, in a brand new culture. And Ning's right. Filipinos adapt like no other group. And so I think that yes, of course, family connection.
Family, yeah.
Definitely plays a role. But I think there's also acceptance amongst the Filipino community and a feeling of welcomeness too, in the Filipino community in Canada, to fellow countrymen who are coming.
I know.
Like Ning said, they had people sleeping in their houses
Yes.
before she ever got involved in this business to try and help them after they were getting taken advantage of.
Yeah, and you know the influx of the Filipino community or sort of Filipino people in Canada, I believe has created a lot of economic activity or has helped with the economic
Absolutely.
activity in Canada.
Canada has the largest immigration program in the world, and between well over 50% of it is made up of economic immigrants.
Yeah.
So, yeah, again, great education, strong language abilities, those, and the willingness to work hard. It can be difficult because you often have to start over. Even though you may be an established professional in your home country, you often have to start over, but there's got to be a drive to not give up. And, you know, we talk to many of our clients, and some of them, they're not even thinking about themselves. They're thinking about the future of their children.
That's true.
And so, you know, it's very admirable qualities. But yes, economic immigration is the biggest driving force. And Canada's immigration program is envied all over the world.
Is that because of the selection process that we have, or is it just the quality of immigrants that we're able to attract?
I would say it's both, but it's seen as the smartest immigration program in the world.
That's awesome.
And it's also like one of the favorite place to go to.
Yes.
I think.
I know
You know
Canada
what,
has
when
been
I
ranked
first-
as top country.
When I first
in
came to
many
Canada,
respects.
we call it like a place of plenty. Like my mom and I would go outside and it's snowing, and I would say, "This must be close to heaven."
And then you feel the cold and,
And
get
then,
frostbite.
and then 20
Oh.
years later, I'm like, okay, I'm not enjoying the weather anymore.
And then you know, especially here in Calgary, it's been cold the last few days. I think we've had
I
like
think
minus
that's a
30.
record breaker.
And as you can hear, I'm suffering with a little bit of cold. And you know, cold weather reminds me how Filipino I am. You know, I go back to becoming Filipino right away.
I always tell Roxanne,
I grew up in the cold.
Yeah.
Oh, you
I
go
don't
up.
like it either.
I always tell her I could never get used to the cold weather.
I think
always
we
wear-
all have to adjust. And so, Tineng, with the Filipino immigrants coming to Canada, especially here in Alberta, do you find more immigrants now or more OFW? Like which is more?
I think
Which class,
it's
if I could use the class?
Yeah, like in terms of numbers, a lot of people still come as a temporary foreign worker. Also, there's a lot of people coming in as immigrant as well, because these temporary foreign workers, obviously, when they become PR, all the family will come. So again, the balance is there. I mean, Alberta is still open to temporary foreign workers. We still get LMIAs for employers. So.
So the economy, even though it's
even
slowed
with the
down,
maybe it's slowed down a
there's
little
still a
bit.
demand.
Maybe that we're not bringing as much as we used to, but it's not close. Like it hasn't stopped completely. So maybe right now I'm gonna say maybe more so for families to come, because now those people who came like 2-3 years ago are now in process of being immigrant and all that, and sponsoring their families to come. So maybe there's more in terms of immigrants, not temporary foreign worker, but in terms of numbers, it hasn't stopped. So
Right. And
Whereas in British Columbia and Ontario, where those provinces are going through somewhat of construction boom, we're seeing more temporary farm workers come to these provinces.
yeah.
so there's more
More job opportunities.
more job opportunities. And Roxanne, I'm just gonna ask you, what are some of the key changes happening in the immigration system, maybe here in Alberta, and maybe you can touch a little bit on what's happening in British Columbia as well.
Well, I think actually one of the biggest changes that happened in Alberta was last year with the introduction of the new Alberta Opportunity Stream to their provincial nominee program. So that was a major change. They had an established provincial nominee program, often referred to as AINT, Alberta Immigrant Nominee Program, that had several different categories.
Yeah.
And the opportunity stream is meant to simplify
Right.
and not create so many different categories. And Alberta finally decided to participate in the new federal selection 1st, 2015. So that's probably the most significant change that's happened in Alberta. There's also, on the downside of that, because of the declining economy in Alberta, this is not new, but the government and increasing unemployment rates, the government and the province jointly decided to create a refusal to process list for certain occupations in Alberta. So employers were unable to get labor market impact assessments, which is a requirement to hire temporary foreign workers in certain occupations.
Sorry, Roxanne,
really
I'll cut you off there. Could you explain that a little bit? So there's a reduction in those classes that used to be available. Is that did I hear that correctly?
Yeah, it's only certain occupations.
Right.
So when the downturn in the Alberta economy that happened when oil prices dropped in 2016, it created a spike in unemployment that Alberta hasn't seen in a decade. And so there was an overabundance of certain workers in certain occupations, certainly not all occupations. And because of that, just the number of people looking for jobs in these particular occupations, the province of Alberta, in cooperation with the federal government, created a refusal to process list. And now that's not somebody applying as in one of the federal programs. This is where employers are applying to be able to hire a foreign national
Right.
to do a temporary job.
Right.
So it wasn't specific. They're certainly not targeting any country. What they're targeting is occupations where there seems to be an overabundance.
Right. It's a supply and demand play.
workers.
Right. So it's more of a supply and demand play.
Exactly, and it's a temporary pause.
Yeah.
Right.
So we don't know when it's going to be lifted, but it depends on economic indicators, and certainly the unemployment rate in Alberta, which was as high as 11% in 2017, has certainly come, is becoming more and more positive all the time.
Right. And then my next guest will be talking about. We'll touch on unemployment rate here in my next segment. In Alberta. I think I'll ask you this, and we've only got one more question, or room for one more question. I know there's been a lot of abuse in. And I know we don't like to talk about abuse, but it does exist. And lately, we've seen some immigration consultants, specifically in the Filipino community.
Yep.
I don't get this. I don't get why bring the bad habits into this country. But anyway, bring good habits like breeding children or something like this. Those are good. Great. Having lots of kids. But the bad habits, leave it where it belongs. But
yes.
So question, Atheling, is that something that? Okay, I'm not going to ask that question, but what I will ask is, what can people in our community, in the Filipino community, do specifically to avoid being abused by some abusers, I guess?
Okay, I think this one sets Join Canada different from others, I guess, because Roxanne and I, we go way back. She was my mentor, and then just last year I decided to join simply because of the integrity, right? Like Roxanne and I have the same values when we represent clients. We are honest with clients, right? And let's face it, not everybody can come to Canada. And this is where if somebody comes to us and asks us do a consultation with us, and really if there's nothing for them in Canada, we tell them. We're honest about that. And when we this is how we do it now, like when we do a consultation with clients, we explain to them why they qualify for the program. Okay, we tell them exactly what we're gonna, if they hire us, what we're gonna do for them, and let's and itemize that. So one thing that our kababayans can do is that, like, if they are being helped by somebody is giving them immigration advice and all that, is to check that this person is first a Canadian regulated immigration consultant. So they can go to the ICCRC website, which is the Immigration Consultants of Canada Regulatory Council, to check if this person is actually regulated, is authorized to give advice. Okay. Second is like if they engage their services, that there should be a retainer agreement, and on that agreement it will list everything that the consultant will do for them, and all the fees that they need to pay. No surprises there, and that's how we do. Like every time we represent a client, right? Like we have to have that retainer agreement signed, that client understand our duties and that they also understand their duties. So there will be no surprise that if we get this for you, you're gonna add $500 more or something
Right.
like that. No. I think that sets us different because we are honest, and we tell the client what's their situation. If we can help them, yes. If we cannot help them in their case, then we refer them to somebody who can help them. So that's how we do things. So again, they make sure that whoever, and if they are paying money, if they are giving money to that person, giving them an advice, to get a written receipt, because we are actually in our code of professional ethics that we are supposed to give receipts and all, because we have a client account. So this has to be recorded, and we are mandated to have a retainer agreement. And if that person is telling them to, we could do this, we could maybe change a little bit on the information you're giving them, and it's okay, then you run fast.
Yeah.
Like if this
Can I add to that? I don't know if you have enough time.
Yes, Roxanne. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you said earlier you don't like to complain and or talk about the bad people. I will shout from the rooftops about the bad people. Okay. I have no problem talking about that at all. What's been happening, it's not just consultants, it's lawyers, it's people who aren't even consultants or representatives selling themselves as being representatives. If something sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
That's a good test, Roxanne. If something sounds too good to be true,
if they promise them the moon and the stars, maybe that's
it's probably not a good.
One of the things we're big advocates on is ensuring that whether we're just in a consultation or we're representing a client, that they understand exactly what we're doing and
Right.
why we're doing it. We educate our clients. They know why they're eligible in a program. They know the plan, so they understand it. And we utilize the Government of Canada's website and the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act and regulations. There are no secrets here. So we're very upfront and very blunt about what we're going to do, why we can do it, and any issues that they may face along the way.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's just being about being upfront and honest. And if you've been treated badly, complain to the regulator, because if the regulator doesn't know, that's ICCRC. If they don't know, they can't stop that person
That's
from
right.
taking advantage of the next 10 people.
That's right, and I think that's going to be on our next interview. I think we'll spend a bit more on how can people be more educated when it comes to
Choosing
hiring
a
immigration representative. That's right, and what are some of the things that they can do if they feel they've been taken advantage of,
Right.
or if they have concerns. So Roxanne,
Or they can call us, and we
or you can call Join Canada, and they can of course take care of your concern. That's right.
8200.
So sorry, could you repeat that again?
So 604-465-8200.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ning and Roxanne. Thank you for
you.
joining
Thank you.
in the spotlight with me. Stay tuned. We have one more segment, and I think you're gonna like this last segment here, because we are going to be talking to Chad Ford, who is running for the Conservative Party as a MP. And in the next few minutes, I'll be interviewing him here. So thank you so much, and stay tuned. One more segment. Thank you, Roxanne.
Thanks, Roxanne.
Thanks,